This is MP Cards and Games. I am back from Ycs Melbourne, just came back. I would have done a video while, I would have actually filmed this video while I was there, but I just didn't have time. But the reason why I haven't uploaded is I have been at Melbourne, and I went to the YCS there. The American dude ended up winning, which was a bit salty that it wasn't an Australian. But yeah, the event was really good. This is the playmat you got for the event. So I'll be doing my deck profile for the YCS, also the Mega Regionals at the YCS. And I'll also be doing stuff that I got at the YCS and cards that I traded, bought, and other nice little things that I just got for participation, entry, pre-rego, that sort of stuff. And this was a participation award, which is the playmat, which has the YCS, the date, and that sort of stuff. But we'll start off with the deck profile. I was playing Spiral, which, yeah, I understand not a lot of people don't really like it, but I wanted to actually get somewhere in this event. I wasn't playing the best variant, of course. If you want to copy any variant, I'd recommend you copy the next one I'm going to show, which isn't going to be much different, and I'll just end up putting the two cards in and take out the two cards out. And even then it was still, I didn't actually go too bad at this event. I went 5-3 at the normal YCS, so I didn't make it to the day 2 events, but I still went pretty well comparing my build, and I beat far better Spiral builds. The worst thing with this deck is it bricking, but I'll start now with the deck. Okay, we play the generic 1 Spiral Gear Drone, just allows you to stack and just has so much utility. 1 quick fix, didn't see the double summon combo as much as I wanted to at this event. I think I only saw it once or twice, and then I ended up getting ashed. 1 tough, because I only owned 1 tough at the time. So this was more going first Spiral, and going second Spiral is probably better. But the tough was still handy even at the 1, and I drew really good hands a lot of the games I won, I drew really, really well. We played 3 Super Agent. When I only had 1, it was really bad, the deck, which was a few months ago, like a few weeks ago when I only owned 1, but I did get it for Christmas, and I knew I would need it at the YCS. So there's some of your staples, and then you've also got your Last Resort and Spiral Sleeper. This is so good, especially if they Reapers you. Half the time when I won against Spiral, they sided in all their hand traps, and then they drew all their hand traps, and stuff like Reapered me and tried to like ash me, but then sometimes I'd just have the Sleeper and the Last Resort, or just the Sleeper, and I'd be able to make it and still beat over them even without any Spiral double helix. So this was just really good at the tournament, and sometimes this would win you games with something else on board. Especially against the mirror, if you can make it first, it's really good. And sometimes I outplayed my opponent. Like, there was one board where some dude made a fireball that could bounce to summon that and had like so much advantage, and then I ended up destroying his whole board. Master Plan, it really bricks, and I didn't know double helix could special to a grave till halfway across this event, so I went pretty well knowing that not knowing that you could actually special this with Helix from grave if you played 1 for 1 or another card to pitch it from hand. But it has a really good effect if you don't draw it. Drawing it sucks, but you should already know that. But drawing it really does suck, unless you have something else to special it with, then that doesn't suck as much. Now for the hand traps, we're not playing a massive hand trap build, but we are playing quite a few. We're playing the 1 Drill Knock, good against the mirror. Usually sided out if I wasn't versing the mirror, but sometimes it wasn't too bad even if I wasn't versing the mirror. Like if I was versing Pendulum Magician, I'd play it going game 1, and sometimes I would slow down their play, but against the mirror this usually saved me a turn. But yeah, I only own the 1 of, so yeah, I only play 1. I still play DD Crow. It's really good against the mirror, really good against those rogue matchups, and it also allows for a firewall combo. to make your Trigate Wizard, Firewall, Ib, Helix, and Sleeper combo, without needing stuff like Soul Charge. The one Maxi, didn't draw it that many times, and the only times I did it wasn't like the best. It wasn't too bad, but most people just ended up slowing down their plays. Then 3 Ghost Reapers, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbits. It wasn't too bad. It was really only super good against the mirror. It was only really the best against the mirror. Than the rest of the decks, their field spells most of the field spells, like the Trickstar one, activate on response, and this deals with some things, but it doesn't really deal with enough, so I understand why people are cutting it. I ended up siding usually 1 out, if I had a better card to side in. The 1 Ash, because I only own 1 Ash, but this was really good. Even though I only own 1, I ended up like drawing this 5 times during the event. The resort helped me shuffle it back in, which was a good thing, but I drew this so many good times. That was the end of the hand traps, but we played the 1 Gofu just because it was an enabler. It did come up once or twice and wasn't too bad, especially when it stopped, especially when my opponent tried to respond against it or didn't respond against it and responded against something else. Now for the 1 of spells, we have the 1 Regeki. I only saw it once or twice, but it did help me do that OTK, so I saw a lot of variants take it out, but I still like it, and it's good against the Veroload, even though I didn't actually get Veroloaded during any of my matchups. 1 Soul Charge, I drew this like, I think twice, maybe once. Oh no, twice. Once I got heaps of advantage. Another time was during the Mega Regional, and I could special heaps. He played Maxi. I just tried the Maxi challenge because if I didn't, I wouldn't have made a good enough board. So I tried to deck him out. I made like Trigate with negates, Firewalls with bouncers, sleepers, but he could end up dealing with that board. But he's a really good card in a lot of situations. Then we play the 1 Foolish Burial. It came up sometimes where you did want to send the quick fix and then you could do your combos from there. But a lot of the time I ended up signing it out because I usually would discard this for quick fix. 1 for 1, really good. It's pretty much like you double summon in your deck if you want to do the turn 1 combo. 1 Upstart just for consistency. I side this out sometimes, but it was just sometimes good to play a 39 card deck. 1 Rotor, this came in real handy, especially if my opponent ashed like the Resort or Ogred the Resort. 1 Assault, drawing this isn't that good, but it's still not too bad to send off the other card, and if you can't get a double summon, it's not too bad. The 1 Cosmic Cyclone, in some matchups this was pretty good, but I didn't end up drawing it that much, and I sided out quite a few times, especially against the mirror. Now for the 2 of sort of spells. Foolish Barrel of Goods, this was pretty good, especially if my opponent stopped to play. I could just special something back by sending the trap card, or sending the spell to do an additional normal summon. Then we ran 2 double summon. I do have another one somewhere, but I just couldn't find it before this event. And this was really, I didn't draw it that much, but in playtesting this was really good with Fix. But every time I did draw it with Fix, usually my opponent would ash. I think I only got 1 time where I drew it with Fix. Didn't have Fix, but I did do a double summon combo anyway. But still a good card. And I didn't actually side this out. But yeah, I drew some of my 1-offs more than I drew double summon. Then I also played 2 Big Red. Sometimes I liked having the second to discard with Quick Fix. And I liked getting the free special, even though it's only once per turn. Now for the 3 of spells, we play 3 Terraforming. This is really good. The Terraforming is really good, especially in situations where you would be screwed if you didn't get a resort. It just adds so much consistency. The Rotors, the Terror, and the Resort all can get you, or the Rotor can get you to your Super Agent or Tough, and then the rest can get you to any Spiral Monster in your deck. 3 Resort, this is really good. It was really good against the Mirror, and really good against other decks because they just couldn't target you. They'd have to target this first. Problems though was it could be Ghost Ogred. I hated my opponents when they Ghost Ogred this. It really sucked. but it was also really good, the shuffling effect, because you could shuffle back hand traps, and especially because I'm not playing as many hand traps, it was really good to shuffle them back. Played the 2 resort. It bricked once or twice, but not really during the main event, more during the Mega Regional. Bricked a lot more in the Mega Regional than the main event. But yeah, really good special summoning recursion. And even its other effect to add one back was still good. It was better than the Assault in my opinion. And even if I drew it, it wasn't ideal. But if I could get something like a Super Agent back and pop a back row against something like Pendulum, that was really good. One card that I had twice, once during the Mega and one during the YCS, and it was good in theory. I actually borrowed this off a mate. I'm not going to tell his name just because I don't want to disclose that in any of my videos. But yeah, I didn't draw it that much. But in theory, it was really good. Just my opponent could still kill me. So I didn't end up drawing it at the right times. But I did have a few opponents who couldn't really use it against me because I droned them, and then like one of my opponents like played a card to stop me from doing an additional summon, and I think he played the Max E, and then I didn't take the Max E challenge, and then he drew into this, and it was like he was pretty. Oh no, I had the Helix, activated the effect, then he activated Ash, and then he drew into Evenly Matched, and I only had one card on field, and he bricked for the remainder of the duel. So yeah, that's the main for the YCS. I'll do the extra now. But matchups I dueled in the YCS were the first matchup was against Zombie Lightsworn, and this dude had made it to Oceanics, which is sort of like nationals but for New Zealand and Australia. And then the next matchup was, I think it was against Cyberdragon, and I beat that dude. Then the next matchup was against, I think, Spiral. It was a more expensive version, but I ended up beating it. Then I versed Pendulum Magician, which I wasn't actually very prepared for. My side did have a few things against them, but I didn't really read up on that as much, and I ended up beating him. And then I versed another Spiral. I think I lost to that one. Then I versed another Spiral, which had a more expensive build than me again, but I beat him. And then the last round was against Trickstars, and I bricked one game, and then he killed me. And then another game I didn't brick, but he reincarnationed me, and then I bricked. But still, the YCS was pretty fun. And then when I show some of the extra stuff I added to the Mega Regional, I'll tell some of the things that happened there. So I haven't really organised the extra. Not as much as the main, at least. But first of all, we played two double helix. Sometimes you would want the 3, but it was very rare, and half the time quite a bit of the time they would Reaper me anyway, so losing 3 from the extra is a lot worse than losing 2 from the extra. So it was really good, but they would usually use their hand traps against it, so it was great enabler, but you wouldn't really want to play more than 2 in my opinion. Then we played, for our other Link 2s, we played 2 Proxy. There was one time where I almost wanted to make 3, because I think it was at more the Mega Regional where it would have been good to have had a third. But I didn't have that situation. I didn't have a third in the extra. But yeah, it's just more go into your combos, especially with Fireball. It's just to go into your combos. You usually don't end off with that. And then we have our binary. Just because I had room, and I sort of wish I had this at the Mega Regional, because this was sort of like my third proxy. And one situation was when I actually needed to make 3 Link 2s, because they'd ashed my double helix. I think it was make Trigate Wizard with its full effect. Then we played the 1 Ib, really good, especially with a Firewall board or anything, and sometimes it was just good to make with a Deco Talker and a Sleeper. And Ib's just nice to have on board, and she has pretty high attack for a Link 2. The 2 Deco Talkers, just because it helps you go into your combos, and also it can have beefy attack sometimes, so you can get over stuff in the mirror, and it prevents, and you can destroy something that targets as long as you have something that points to it, so it's pretty nice to have. Then we play the one Gaia Saber. Came up in a few situations, especially when you wanted to beat down your opponent's monsters if they'd reapered like your double helix, and sometimes it was just good to extend your link plays with it. Then the one Trigate, it was really good bait for stuff like the Gamma Seals and everything, and when it did have 3 material, it was really nice and would sometimes like get me a lot further in the game, and I'd sort of have to make my opponent try to play their worst things first. Then the one Fireball, this was really good in the tournament, even though I didn't make it every game. When I did actually make it, the bouncing and the specialing, more the specialing, was super nice and just allowed to make my boards so much better. Then we played the one number 41 Babuskov. I think we only made it twice, and one time it got Kaiju'd, and the other it actually helped for quite a while. So it's really good. Again, didn't make it as much as I wish I could, but I've played it in other decks as well, and it's just a really nice card to have. Then the Lusk, it's just to add DD Crow and to boost attack, so it was a nice combo enabler, and just allowed for your fix not to kill itself. One Sylvan Sprite Princess just also gets you combo pieces sometimes, and it also sends to the grave. But when you add something like that, Soul Charge or some nice spell to your hand, it's so nice. And it also just allows you to combo more, and then ABC, you could play any card instead of this in the extra. I just played it because of a Reaper's target, and I didn't want to put heaps of Reaper targets in my side. And now for the side deck, we played 3 Reapers. I think it came up once for me at the YCS and once in the Mega Regional, and it did. At the Mega Regional, it didn't really do much because he Max-C'd me, and then I took the Max-C challenge. But it was still a good card, and it did hurt me quite a lot when my opponent would play it against me. And sometimes you would want to go second when you sided this in, but it was really good in theory, and it was still good in concept. Then the one Gamma Seal, we didn't see it the whole event, but it was Traverse the Mirror and also True King. Sorry, not True King, True Draco, like any one that was playing Masterpiece, but we didn't actually see any Masterpiece decks. One Chaos Sorcerer to go against Trickstar, which we didn't draw it against Trickstar, unfortunately. I do have a second, but I don't know where it is, and that would have been really good to have had the second to play, but it's also wouldn't be too bad against the Mirror. I know my opponent played against me, but he played it at a really bad time. I think it was at the Mega Regional that he played it against me, and I had a quick fix engrave, so I could abuse it. But in theory, it stops the sleeper, and if your opponent cannot get over it in the Mirror, they're pretty much screwed. And it also just allows you to discard, which can be really good if you can discard the resort, if it can discard the resort and that sort of stuff. Not the Spiral Resort, sorry, the Mission Rescue. That's really good to discard, and it only prevents your opponent. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it only prevents your opponent, so you can still make all your plays. 2 Twin Twisters. I think it only came up once against Pendulum Edition, still wasn't too bad. Sided in against Trickstar, but I didn't see it any other time, but it's also another discard fodder thing. I was originally maining one in my fairly old variant, but I didn't have room in main, and it wasn't the best. One thing I put in, which didn't end up helping me, but I put in last minute, was Mind Crush. Just because in theory this is really good, especially against Evenly Match, which I didn't actually get evenly matched at the event at all, even though a lot of people had Evenly Match. And also good if they search, but I never ended up drawing this. But I did side in a few times. D-Barrier. Did side in against Pendulum, didn't draw it. So yeah. 3 Anti-Spell. Didn't see it the entire event, but I've played it in other, like, locals and that sort of stuff, and it can be pretty good against the mirror, against Trickstar, and definitely against Pendulum. But sometimes it can stuff you up as well. I think I might have seen it once, actually. No, I think my opponent actually played it and ended up stuffing him up more than it stuffed me. Imperial Iron Maul, just because we didn't have the second Chaos Hunter, and if we're going first against Trickstar, we could stop him. Same as maybe the mirror. I didn't side this in against the mirror, though. And then another evenly match against, and also just against anything, but we never sided this in. It was really bad. No, it wasn't really bad. It's a good card, but I just never had room to side it in, and I was never that afraid of the evenly. And you can also play stuff like Imperial Iron Maul against evenly matched. Even though you don't play heaps of back row, still didn't really see it. And then the last one was a Totally Awesome. So we sided this in against the Paleo. Oh yeah, we played a Paleo and we beat them at the YCS. Then I forgot. Yeah, we beat a Paleo. I think I played I can't remember who else. Oh yeah, it was an 8-round event. So yeah, I also beat a Paleo and I ashed his Toad, which made him cry because that was his entire. Or it wasn't even fully. It was Paleo, but it was mostly Paleo Frog. So yeah, you could just switch out ABC Buster for this, which was really good. So yeah, that's when Reapers was really good for me. That was the game one of the games that actually made me win, and I also played it twice against the Spiral Mirror. And then the actual adjustments that I did during the Mega Regional was I bought Too Tough at the beginning of the YCS, but I already done my deck list. So it was actually day 1 of the YCS, not day 0, which was pre-reg, and I did pre-registrate. So yeah, I couldn't actually play it in the deck, but I ended up taking out 1 Big Red, just because it was alright, but I ended up siding out most games. And I also ended up taking Ghost Ogre since I did side it out a lot of the time, and it did make the deck a little bit better, and it did allow me to go second a little bit more, but yeah, it was good, but I still went pretty well in the YCS without running the extra 2, but the Mega Regional, I versed round 1, I won, I knew that, I can't remember what I actually versed. Round 2 was against, I think it was the Spiral Mirror, lost that. Round 3 was against Medolces, I beat that. Round 4 was against, round 3 wasn't against Medolces, because I think it was against Medolces. Oh no, I lost round 3. I can't remember what I versed though. But it may have been another Spiral Mirror. Don't think it was though. Then yeah, I won against Medolces. Then I won against another Spiral Mirror. Oh, I lost to round 3. I lost to a ABC Smoke deck. So he was game 1. He'd run the ABC core, and then game 2. He'd play Spiral. He would side out all of his ABC and play Spiral. And I did actually play Ash, and I did Ash his Helix, but I took the Max E challenge. So that's where I lost, and I lost game 1. Because he'd actually ashed me, and I lost all my double Helixes game 1. So I couldn't really do too much. And then, yeah, I won against Medolces, won against a Spiral, won against Pendulum Edition, and then one against another Spiral. I ended up coming 12th out of 100 people, but I ended up getting the same ranking as the dude who came. I ended up winning the same amount of games as the dude who came 8th, and that was the invite spot and the extra regional playmat. And like, I'm not a dude who gets really angry, so I wasn't really angry, but it was like I was a little bit disappointed, but I understood because it was a random thing, because there was about 3 or 4 other dudes or probably about 5 other dudes that tied and won the same amount of games and got the same amount of points. So at least I wasn't 9th place, and then it was like, only 1 spot away from the invite. But it would have been good if I got my invite, but I'd won enough games to give me my invite, but if I hadn't have lost against that mirror match, and I probably shouldn't have taken the Max C challenge. If I didn't, I might have won, but then again, would have faced harder matchups. But yeah, the event was really good. Really fun. Oh, the one other thing I changed in the extra was I got a Ningritsu off one of my mates that was down there, and I took out the binary just because I didn't see it much at the YCS, but then would have been good in one situation to have in the Mega Regional. But I did summon this once and it was okay. It's better if you have Link Spider though, to do the Gofu instantly into this. Just didn't have a Link Spider on me at the time. I do own one, but I just didn't have my Link Spider on me. But I think I actually own two. Yeah, I own two, but I didn't have any of them on me. But this is a really good guy to make against the mirror and against a few other matchups, just because it allows you to send something that you don't need and make your opponent send. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it doesn't target, which is really nice. And you can get the draw if you do have an ib beside it. So this is also one of the cards I got from the event. I got the two Tough, as I've already told you. I got for $1 each one Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell, because this comes back and forth throughout different formats when there's a really good spell that you got to negate. Same as Magical Deflector. Even though field spells are really good now, if they'll probably a lot of them will get hit, but then which they will become great again. But you can afford to go first against that deck. Magical Drain will be a good card against them. It's actually surprising that there wasn't as many this format, but I guess now with going second Spiral, you could probably play it. But Spiral probably going to get hit soon, which is going to be a bit unfortunate for my budget. But yeah, I've had fun with the event and with the deck, and it's fairly skilled. Even though I didn't make the best plays throughout the event, I would say it is luck based, but also very skilled. Because even you can still lose to the mirror even if you're playing a more expensive version, and like you're not guaranteed to win against the other deck. If the other dude's plays better than you, and you don't draw the god hand, you can still lose against them. And then we ended up trading for a DNA surgery. DNA operation, sorry. It's a foreign DNA surgery. I'll need to get the translation for this, but it has seen its formats before, and it's just interesting. Never been able to get a hold of one. Tornado Dragon, just because it's going to be really good in the future, and it's still pretty good now. It's just a good generic Link 4 that I didn't have. Stardust Warrior, I think it's going to be good when that new Link monster comes that allows you to special a tuner, even if it isn't, it's just a free draw synchro. And then One Solemn Judgment, just in case it comes back. Not saying it will, but just in case, it was only $2. So, yeah, it was just nice to get one just in case it does ever come back. Didn't really get much more from that event. I did get the pre-registration. I think I got the pre-registration dice. I got the pre-registration light dice. This is one of the first pre-rego dice that has Yu-Gi-Oh on it, because the other ones had Arc V for the last format, or for the last era, which was the Arc V era, and since this is one of the first YCSs in the new era, this dice is a bit more rare at the moment. And then I also got a Ycs Melbourne pin, which was a participation thing as well. The event was really good, thanks to my mate who let me borrow the Evenly Matched. Even though I didn't come up that much in the event, it was still really nice of him. And this is MP Cards and Games signing out. A few more little extra things about the event. I thought it was really good, and also I'll be showing you a picture of someone I actually talked to who was fairly up in Konami. That I talked to at that event, and his name's Luke. That's his first name. His last name, it's a bit hard for me to pronounce, so I won't butcher it here. But he's British, and he's the
commentator for the Yu-Gi-Oh! European events and for the Australian New Zealand events. But I had a little talk to him, and I asked him what other jobs he does. But he's also marketing for all those regions, and he's also uh, like organizes these big events like the YCSs, and any regional that someone tries to organize has to go through him first. Um, so yeah, that was interesting, and he also does used to play the game a lot. He still does a little bit, but he actually started playing before it hit the TCG. He actually started playing in when the OCG got their cards, because he had a venue that he could get the OCG cards from. And then his favourite format was Necros format, because that was the best he went at. Like, he topped at his YCS. But then during that format, Konami said, "Do you want to come and be our commentator?" And he went, "Yeah." So yeah, I think he still plays a little bit, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting at the event. But it was a really good time, and if you've never been to a YCS, I recommend, if you play Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, definitely go to one. And this is MP Cars and Games signing out.